Hey, everybody, it's Scott Steen with winnersandwhiners.com coming to you with today's edition of Today in Sports Betting. And once again, we got a little midweek NASCAR action on Wednesday night, and we are excited to take a look at it. Going to bring on two of the finest NASCAR cappers around. First of all, introduce my partner in crime, my co-host of the show. He is Scott Reichel. Scotty, how are you today? Happy Tuesday, bud.
Thanks. Doing pretty well. It was a pretty quiet sports day yesterday, and then a lot of stuff happened with UFC this morning as a lot of fight cards were announced. UFC 251 was announced, and that card is going to be taking place July 11th. One of the greatest main events I've ever seen. You have You got 3 title fights and a rematch from a title fight from roughly 2 years ago. And then you got Paige Van Zandt in there, who, even though I don't think she's the greatest fighter, she's probably the most attractive UFC fighter. So she definitely has a following, to say the least, from most of the guy fans in the MMA, even though she's spoken for. But, yeah, you got Usman Burns for a title fight, and Burns just kicked Woodley's ass, so that's going to be entertaining. You got Volkanovski Holloway 2. And you got Peter Yan versus Aldo, and then you got Namajunas Andrade. So you got yourself a very nice card. You also officially was announced that, I believe in August, Cormier and Miocic will finally be having their rematch fight after it keeps getting delayed. So, yeah, the UFC definitely had a big day. They officially announced that Fight Island is going to be in Abu Dhabi. So that's going to be the location of where the whole Fight Island was the entire time. And, yeah, it appears the UFC is just putting the pedal to the metal, and they're increasing the quality of their fights after, what should be, I hope I'm wrong, on my birthday on Saturday, but a pretty underwhelming card. So hopefully it picks up in the future.
Okay. Well, I have between now and July to give a crap about any of that. So,
yes.
Yeah.
Besides the weekly videos, of course.
I know. I mean, I am coming around on the UFC. It just wasn't in my wheelhouse, and I'm never going to have the depth of knowledge that you guys have, that the longtime fans have. So I hate playing catch up, but I'm learning.
I'm just saying that there are some really nice fight cards on the horizon, so people have a lot to be excited for.
Great. Well, and the other news from the UFC was Conor McGregor retired for the 17th time in the last 4 years. So that's interesting.
It's a shame. I mean, he's only fought twice since 2017. I'm not sure how I'm ever going to recover from this.
To me, as a casual fan, he's entertaining. He's good for the sport. I will tell you this: I've paid money for one UFC card in my life, and it was the Conor McGregor card. So take that for what you will. But
truth is, he's the most important MMA figure that they've ever had. In terms of ratings, he completely changed the way that the UFC was watched. He also was a huge reason why the UFC was sold for about, $4 billion. So
right.
He definitely had a big say in the UFC. However, I think a lot of that is based on the past now, as he hasn't really been relevant as a serious contender. I mean, he hasn't won a title fight since 2016. So that just showcasing that. But it is what it is.
Well, here's the deal. I'm sure we have a lot of time to talk about UFC, but today it's all about NASCAR. And, we're going to bring in a guy that is equally adept. He's ambidextrous when it comes to UFC or NASCAR. Today we're going to ask him to put on his NASCAR hat, and he is winning Willie down there in the heart of NASCAR country at the Crossroads down there in Mississippi. Willie, what's up, buddy?
What's going on, fellas? 5 in a row. I'm on a hot streak. Now we got the first night race in history coming from Martinsville. I'm super excited.
And Willie, it should be pointed out, we gave you all kinds of props yesterday, but you weren't on the show. So Willie, of course, is the runaway leader right now in the early going of our very own Winners and Whiners Cup. So he's going to look to keep that going with his picks for tomorrow night, while Scott and I are going to look to cut into that lead. I'm going to look to catch a break with one of my long shots there. So am I going to take Clint Boyer once again as a long shot? Pretty good track for him. Stay tuned. We'll find out. So a little background here, guys. We're going to go to the shortest track on the circuit, the half mile of mayhem, the Paperclip there in Martinsville, which, of course, is located in Ridgeway, Virginia. And yeah, pretty excited. This is a kind of a flat track. It's a 0.5526 miles, just 12% banking in those corners. So it's you're going to be heating up those brakes, guys. A lot of braking in this one. Not a lot of opportunities for passes. So track position is paramount in this one. And of course, we already have our starting lineup as the top 12 teams drew for their spots. Ryan Blaney in the 12 car sits on the pole for Roger Penske and his team, and Eric Almirola sits beside him for Stuart Haas. Willie, you've got you're the away team today. Give us your thoughts on this one. What do you got? What are we looking for here? What sort of skill set are drivers going to need to bring to the table to be successful at Martinsville?
Well, I think Martinsville, one thing about it that I love about the track personally, and I think is a big thing, is the fact that it's a flat track as opposed to banked like most. And that does play a big difference into like drivers like Denny Hamlin, per se, are better driving on flat tracks. So that definitely makes a difference. I wouldn't say that veteranship really makes a huge difference here as much, which is also kind of a big thing to kind of pay attention to.
Okay. Yeah, this is a track that's probably similar to if you have a track outside your hometown, if you have a little bull ring, little half-mile track, this is going to be probably the closest thing to that track. Although the configuration is weird, the way that they call it, the paperclip, because one end is narrower than the other. It's definitely an oval as opposed to more of a circle like you have there at Bristol with the high banks. Totally different kind of track than Bristol, but it is short track racing, and it is at night. So yeah, we're going to see what happens. There's a lot of drivers that have had a lot of success at this track. No one has dominated more than that 48 car, though. Jimmy Johnson has won a full 25% of the races that he has entered at Martinsville. He has started 36 races. He has 9 victories to go along with his 19 top 5s and 24 top 10s. So Jimmy Johnson in that Lowe's Chevrolet has been the man at Martinsville. So let's start with that. Willie, do you expect any kind of a swan song here? Any kind of a farewell tour for Jimmy to pick up that victory?
I wouldn't. I don't know that I'm ready to say that he's going to win this race, but I definitely look for him to be towards the top of the field. And he's kind of impressed me this year for someone his age and that seemed to have been dropped off a cliff the past couple of years. He's really seemingly improved some this year. Agreed.
He kind of has a little bit of that. Looks like he's got a little bit of that, the fire that has returned a little bit. He's made himself a factor in each of these races, especially post-virus. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see what the 48 car has along with some of these other guys that are going to be in the mix. So let's get it started. Taking a look, as you know, the rules to our Winners and Winers Cup are quite simple. Take your 2 favorite drivers and then throw in a kind of a wild card, kind of a long shot. And our rules are a long shot is defined as 15-1 or greater. And we talked about it before the show. Not a lot of great long shots at this one. You got 3 or 4 choices, and that have a realistic chance, and then everything else is really, really throwing a dart. So Willie, let's start with you. Give us your best pick here for this race. What are you looking at?
I'm gonna take Denny Hamlin at 9-1. That'll be my first pick of the day. He's got 28 starts here with 21 top 10s, 15 top 5s, 5 wins, average finish of 5.75 the last 4 races here. I mean, and plus he's been right there in every race the past couple of races. And this is a track as I mentioned earlier, it's flat track that he excels on. I really like Denny Hamlin this weekend, or well, actually Wednesday, not this weekend.
Yeah, I don't hate that. Like you said, Denny Hamlin has been a very solid driver, especially lately with 3 top 5s in his last 4 starts at Martinsville. But he is a second overall over the course of his lifetime to Jimmy Johnson as far as wins at Martinsville, picking up five wins as far as active drivers go, I should say. 5 wins at Martinsville in his 28 starts. That, my friend, is a nice price on Denny Hamlin, picking him up at 9-1. Scotty, what do you got for us here? What are you going to be off and running?
So my first pick in this race is Denny Hamlin at 10-1 at Fox Bet, and that's what I'm gonna be rolling with. We've already talked about his success on this track. I'm sorry if it sounds repetitive, but last time Willie and I agreed, we both had Harvick, and that worked out pretty well.
Yeah.
So hopefully that continues in this one. Hamlin's been great on this track historically throughout his entire career. If you want to be specific, he's starting 12th, so he has a pretty good start position. He's finished top 5 in each of his last 3 Martinsville races, and he's actually led at least 7 laps in 6 of his last 7 Martinsville races. Now, I know 7 laps isn't impressive or anything like that, but the fact that he's been leading laps in roughly the last 84% of his Martinsville races means he's usually somewhere in the front, and that's definitely a good sign in this track. Plus, he's also won 5 races in his career at Martinsville, so this is one of his favorite tracks. I expect him to perform well here. I think he should probably finish top 5, and I think he definitely has a serious shot at winning. And at 10-1, definitely a nice price, so that's going to be the first play that I have.
Let me ask both of you guys: does it bother you the fact that he drew the worst starting position of the top 12 racers? He drew dead last. He drew the 12th spot on the starting grid. Does that give you any pause with Denny Hamlin? I mean, I know that's why his odds are at 10-1 as opposed to probably plus 750, based solely on that starting position. Is he going to be able to have the wherewithal to get past the other cars there in front of him?
I think he should find a way, especially considering the fact that Hamlin is so experienced on this track. I feel like he'll just know when to make a move, when not to make a move. The thing is, I definitely would prefer to be Denny Hamlin than Jimmy Johnson right about now. After Jimmy Johnson got passed by Kurt Busch and now has to start outside the top 12 as a result. So he definitely was the bigger loser in that exchange. But for Hamlin, it's not ideal, I'd say, that he's starting 12th. But at the end of the day, he has so much experience on this track, and he's dominated this track over the course of his career. I have to assume that he's just going to make the right plays at the right time. And I'm assuming that his crew as well knows exactly what to do in the situation. So for me, I think it would be concerning maybe for a less experienced driver, but I expect Hamlin to make the necessary adjustments for it.
All right, very good, very good.
What do you think about that?
Willie, you on the same page there with Hamlin as far as making the passes?
Yeah, I actually think it benefits him a little bit more. It's something about starting right there in that top 4 or 6 that it really I don't like trusting, because it's a lot easier to pass people than it is to hold them back.
That's true. You'd rather be the you'd better be the stock or versus the stocky most times in NASCAR races. And Scott, you brought up a good point about Jimmy Johnson getting passed by Kurt Busch late into that race there at Atlanta. He starts 21st in this race.
That's why I'm also kind of passing on Jimmy, even though he's been successful here. I think that starting spot's just a little bit too much to overcome.
Would have had an opportunity to start in the top 12. Maybe it could have cost him up to 20 spots there as far as what ended up happening. So my first pick, I'm going to pick the driver that's going to be driving for gamblersfallacy.com, and that is Kyle Busch, because friends, Kyle Busch is due. He is due. He has he's been running well lately. He hasn't been able to get to the top spot, but I think this is the race where Kyle Busch puts it all together. He has been a solid racer there in Martinsville throughout his career. It hasn't been one of his best tracks, but he does have 2 wins and 29 starts to go along with 16 top 5s. I like the experience, and I like Kyle Busch in this one, because you're not going to be able to hold back Kyle Busch for an entire season. He is going to break through and get a victory, and I think this is a great spot for him. I will take Kyle Busch. I don't love the price. We're getting just plus 450 on him, but I will take Kyle Busch. Anybody have a better price or one of your sites there?
I see plus 470, but that's the best I got.
All right. Well, you know what? I'll take it. All right. So give me Kyle Busch as we keep it from making a Hamlin clean sweep. If there's any consolation, Hamlin was my 4th choice. I really struggled between Hamlin and the guy that I'm going to give you next. So I think those are fine picks. And of course, as a reminder to our fans, I know you guys said it, but I'll say it again: The last 2 times that Willie and Scott agreed was on Kevin Harvick, and you know what Kevin Harvick did last week.
I think we also agreed on Keselowski 2 weeks ago, and he also won. So, yeah, Willie and I, when we've been seeing eye to eye, has tended to work out a little bit, but hopefully that carries over.
All right, very good. Willie, we got Denny Hamlin on the board just in case Denny Hamlin doesn't come through. Who you got for your second pick?
I'm going to look to Brad Keselowski, another successful driver here. 20 starts, 14 top 10s, 9 top 5s, average finish of 4.75 the last 4 races here with 2 wins in his career. I mean, you can't really pass up him at 6-1 right there with the success that he's seen on this track and as good as he's been driving lately.
Okay, that's a solid play. I like him. Of course, I call him the Blue Deuce. I guess it's not the Blue Deuce anymore, is it?
No, what do you mean? He still drives the 2 car.
Yeah, but it's not the Miller Lite sponsored car, is it?
He's sponsored by them, but he still changes paint schemes from time to time. Everybody's been doing that lately.
So we just caught him on a bad paint scheme here the last couple of weeks. It is still the Blue. I can still call him the Blue Deuce and get away with it.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Fine. Then I'll do it. Scott, what do you think of the Blue Deuce?
My second pick for this race was Brad Keselowski at 7.5 to 1. Apparently, Willie and I are just completely seeing eye to eye here. I'm assuming my long shot's going to be significantly different than both of yours, but as we said before, the long shots are terrible. For Keselowski, I don't know how I don't take him. He's plus 750 on FanDuel. He's starting 6th. He's won 2 races at Martinsville, and he's actually finished top 5 in 7 of his last 8 Martinsville races. He's actually just nuts on this track. And last week, I actually thought he raced decently. He had the penalty where he went too fast in the pits, and he had to kind of deal with that, but he still finished top 10. He's looked like a top, I'd say, 3 driver since the restart after the pandemic, where NASCAR came back. I think he's arguably been the best driver since they returned, and he's phenomenal on this track. So, yeah, I'm kind of with Willie on this one. I think my goal now in this chase is not to catch Willie, but just to extend my lead over you. So we're going to see how that works out. So, yeah, I like Keselowski as well at 7.5 to 1.
Well, Willie, you missed it yesterday. We talked about relegation and the fact that the last place finisher could get relegated to the Stat Salt Cup. So I'm trying to avoid relegation here on the NASCAR and our Winners from Winners Cup contest. I tell you, my second pick, Brad Keselowski, and here's how much I liked him at 5 to 1, which is what the price that I had. Man, you guys get some good prices down there with your books. I definitely like him at plus 750. I think you guys have both laid out the case for him very well. He's been very good at this track, and he's been fantastic lately. Anybody playing this race and leaving Brad Keselowski off their card, I think, is making a mistake. So on our second pick, we all agree the number 2 car is the way to go at Brad Keselowski plus 750. All right, now we go for the fun part. Willie, give us your long shot.
I'm going with Erik Jones at 40 to 1 over at DraftKings, and this is more or less just a stab in the dark because he's never really had much success here. His highest finish is 12th. He's starting 13th though, and I think he's really been driving better this year than he has ever. So I mean, at 40 to 1, why not?
Dr. Jones for Willie. All right, Willie. And
Erik Jones, that name sounds vaguely familiar for my future bets because I believe I backed him for the first 3 races that we started covering NASCAR.
That's right.
Yeah.
You gonna make it 4 here, Scott? You're gonna take Mr. Jones?
Actually, no. My long shot's gonna surprise you a little bit. I'm actually gonna take Will Byron at plus 4,000 on DraftKings. I know I haven't spoken that highly of him in actual races that aren't virtual. I'm going to reduce my unit on that, though. I'm not going to do 0.3. I'm probably going to do like 0.1 because I really just don't think he's going to win. But in reality, he's starting 15th, which isn't great, but it's not awful. And it is worth mentioning, unlike Jones, Byron actually came in 2nd at Martinsville last year, surprisingly. So he actually has had some success on this track before. And I think that as long as he could avoid the wreck, which seems to be the main issue that he's had over the course of his career, I think he has a decent shot of finishing top 10. And I think for that reason, I think at 40 to 1, I think that's definitely worth a sprinkle. But I'm also aware of how dangerous that play is and how awful the long shots are for the sake of this race. So for that reason, I'm going to reduce it from 0.3 units to 0.1 units and hopefully pick up 4 units if he pulls off a miracle win. So I got Byron at 40 to 1.
All right. Guys, I'm just
it's not great. It's really not a great selection for a long
no,
time.
In fairness, your long shots pretty much came down to Jimmy Johnson, Clint Boyer, Kurt Busch, William Byron, Kenseth Jones, Alex Bowman, and Eric Almirola was your picks between like 40 to 1 and 15 to 1. So you didn't have a ton of you didn't have a ton of options there. I got to tell you guys, I like to take the long shots. I took a long look at Matt D. Benedetto. Willie, now you got me doing it. I took a long look at Matt D. Benedetto.
I was looking at him too.
I love the price on him, 66 to 1. But in the end, I'm going to go with the veteran. I'm going to go with the guy that's had more success here than anybody else. I'm going to go with Jimmy Johnson. I don't like that starting spot there in the 21st spot. He's got some work to do. There's no question about it. He's going to have to stay out of trouble. But I like Jimmy Johnson. I've got him at 16 to 1. You guys got a better price than that on 48?
I see 22 to 1.
Ooh, I like you.
Oh, that's on Fox Bet and FanDuel. They both have 22 to 1.
All right. Well, I'm going to take Jimmy Johnson at 22 to 1. Like I said, he does have 9 wins over his 36 starts, and he has the bad news is he has not been great lately. He's
finished 12th or worse in like each of his last 6, I think.
That's right. He's had no top 10s, no top 5s at Martinsville over his last 4 races.
That means he's due, right?
That means he's due. That's why he's driving for gamblersfallacy.com. I don't even know if that's a website. That it should be.
Should be. All it does is tell you people that haven't won in like 2 years, and it just whoever's due. Just a massive list of who's due.
He's due. So yeah, I think that I think Jimmy Johnson. I think he wants to go out strong. He's been running well lately, and I think that 48 may have a little something for him on Wednesday night. So there's our picks. Just to recap, Willie has Denny Hamlin at 10 to 1, Brad Keselowski at 750, and Mr. Erik Jones at 40 to 1. Rachel has Hamlin and Keselowski apparently looking over Willie's shoulder, and then he's long shot is that 24 car there of William Byron at 40 to 1, and I have Kyle Busch, and also we made a clean sweep on Keselowski, and I'm taking the retiring grizzled veteran and Jimmy Johnson at 22 to 1 to go out with a bang in his swan song here at the Paperclip. So now is when it gets really fun. And now we're going to talk a little bit about matchups. We're going to talk a little bit about that prop action. And Scotty, I know you're the prop king around here. So kick us off. Tell us what you got cooking there in the prop garage.
So unfortunately, I usually do a decent amount of matchups, but DraftKings didn't have any. And I know that I found someone bet online thanks to you, but I wasn't really a fan of any of the lines available. So for the sake of this race, I'm actually not going to be doing any matchup props. Having said that, there are 2 props I am looking at, so it's going to be relatively light. The first prop I'm going to take is 1 unit. It's going to be on Keselowski to be top Ford. People know on the channel I give out a prop involving a car manufacturer literally every week. And Keselowski, top Ford at plus 250 is an absolute steal. I know usually he's competing with Harvick. Harvick historically has not been great at Martinsville, which is why he's currently plus 450. And he's also behind Ryan Blaney and Joey Logano. Logano's been okay here, so that's a potential threat. But Keselowski, we are all on him to win the race for a reason. You finished top 5 and 7 of your last 8 Martinsville races. I got to assume you're going to do pretty well here once again. And you're starting 6th. So you have pretty good starting position. For that reason, I simply have to assume that Keselowski will be top 4 at plus 250. That price will probably be around, what do you think, like plus 150, plus 175?
Yeah, I would think that's probably right in that.
Yeah, so for value there, that's going to be the first one that I take. And I have another one, but we can bounce it around. Anybody else want to go before me?
Yeah, go ahead, Willie. What do you got for props or matchups?
Yeah, actually, one of my 4 that I have down is the same, Brad Keselowski, top Ford. And that just, I think he's going to be a great competitor. He's always been good here at this race. He's driving good now. And the only real threat that I see to him would be Kevin Harvick. And I just think that he's better on this track than Harvick.
Yeah, this really just historically has not been a great track for Kevin Harvick. Even driving that 29 car, he is he's not been fantastic there. He's made I'm looking real quick for his stats here, and he's made 37 starts. He has just one victory and 5 top fives. So not usually a factor at the track. His average finish 14.86 at Martinsville. So that's not something that inspires a lot of confidence. And meanwhile, Brad Keselowski has made 20 starts, average finish 10.85, 2 wins and 9 top 5. So almost half the time he finishes up in the top 5. So yeah, I like that play. I like that play quite a bit. You're getting a little better price than if you just had a matchup between Keselowski and Harvick. And I think that's the way to play it, because you've got a couple other guys that could break through, but most likely are going to be non-factors. So I'm going to take a prop here with Ryan Blaney over one of those non-factor Fords is how I see it. I'm going to go Ryan Blaney over Joey Logano, and we're going to get a little positive. We're going to get a little positive value there on Mr. Blaney at plus 110. Ryan Blaney has been pretty good at this track. He has average position finish over his last 4 races has been 8th. 4 starts, 3 top 5s. No wins, but he has been in the top 10 3 times as well, top 20 4 times, all 4 times. So I like Brian Blaney. Joey Logano, his last 4 starts really hasn't been his track at all. Just 1 top 5 finish, and of course that was a victory. I will give him that he does have a win here, but generally speaking, I like Ryan Blaney. I think this is a pretty even matchup, and I'll take a little positive value at plus 110. So that's going to be my first matchup prop. Scott, what other prop do you have for us?
So this is going to be my second prop. It's going to be a little bit different than what I normally take, because this is only going to be for half a unit. But I actually like Martin Truex Jr. to win the first stage, which is available at plus 600 on DraftKings. A couple reasons why I like this prop. I know it's definitely different than what I normally give out, but I'm going to give it out for half a unit because there is some volatility here. Main reason why Truex has been very good here historically. He's starting 5th, so he's got a pretty solid starting spot. He's actually won the first stage twice in his career, so he has been very good early in this race ever since they added the stage format for the last couple of seasons. He won the first stage a couple times already. That's a good sign for plus 600. And it is worth mentioning that Truex Jr. last year led 464 laps. I'm not even sure how that's possible.
Hard
but
to
he
pass.
did it. Yeah, but he did it. So I know that he knows exactly what he's doing on this track. He knows how to maintain a lead, so to speak. And the fact that he's already won the first stage multiple times on this track makes me believe that he definitely knows exactly what he's doing. So plus 600 there definitely seems to be a solid play there. And I'll give it out for half a unit because some things might change. You don't really know what's going to happen. But I'm not really threatened by many of the drivers in front of him. So I think Truex Jr. should do a pretty good job of getting to the front. So for me, Truex Jr. to win stage 1 at plus 600 on DraftKings for half a unit will be my second and last prop.
Well, and we didn't talk about it, but when Keselowski won his race, he led 488 laps. So that's basically the only laps you didn't leave was when you were cycling through for pit stops. Is how that shakes out. That's pretty much a wire to wire victory there, just like Truex did. So yeah, that's a fine play. Truex was somebody else that gave me a long hard look at this one. I think stage 1 for Martin Truex certainly could be a fine pick. He's got the 5th starting spot there. He should be able to make those.
Should be leading at least a couple of laps in the first stage. So I think that there's a decent chance that he'll win the first stage.
Yeah, I think that's solid. I don't hate that play. Willie, what do you got for your second prop bet here?
I'm looking back into the manufacturer props at Top Chevy, Jimmy Johnson at 4-1, and that's the only 2 people that I really see that can really compete for him there would be Chase Elliott and Kurt Busch, and I just don't. I think that Jimmy's got it made.
All right, very good. This has not been historically not been a terrific spot for Chase Elliott. He has just 2 top 5s in his 9 starts there at Martinsville. Although I will say that it has not been really Kurt Busch's track either, as he has 39 starts in just 3 top 5s. So, both of those guys I think are eminently fadeable at this track. I like your top Ford prop there, or excuse me, your top Chevy prop at Jimmy Johnson plus 4-1. I've already told you I'm taking Jimmy Johnson as my long shot, so I think he can get it done here in this one. My second matchup prop. Speaking of Jimmy Johnson, hate to do it, but I'm gonna fade that car from Emporia, Kansas. I'm gonna take Jimmy Johnson over Clint Boyer at plus 110, and this is mainly just a spite pick. I'm doing it to punish Clint Boyer because he has disappointed me so much the last 2 weeks. No, he hasn't run fantastically at this track. Has just 1 top 5 over his last 4 starts. And again, I'm going to take the master of Martinsville. I'm going to take Jimmy Johnson here at positive value over Clint Boyer at plus 110. So, Scott, you got any more props that you've conjured up?
I was also looking into that matchup. I decided not to pull the trigger on it. Truth is, with no matchups that I thought offered much value,
okay,
I decided that I thought the better play was just simply not to play. If I was going to lean to any prop, it probably would be the Jimmy Johnson one, but I'm really just not a fan of that starting spot. I think that could be a potential issue, but I do agree that Boyer should not be that prohibitive of a favorite in that matchup. If anything comes out on DraftKings or Fox Bet in the next couple of days, I'll probably tweet about it, so stay tuned for that. But as of right now, no, not really. For the main 2 props, Keselowski Ford I love, but it seems like we're all on board on that one. And I thought Truex for half a unit stage 1 is also a solid deal. So other than that, though, no, I think that's pretty much it. I don't really have much else to add.
All right, Willie, I know you've got a couple more props cooked up. What do you got for us?
Well, yeah, I got 2, but they kind of tie into each other. One of them is Erik Jones, top 10 at plus 135 on DraftKings. And that's just kind of doubling back on my kind of covering myself for my 40-1. But I do believe, if anything, he can at least nail a top 10 here this time. He's drove here enough times that he's kind of gotten the feel of the track, I feel. And just the momentum of how well he's been driving this year should carry over. And then my other one is Joe Gibbs Racing to win the race at plus 125. You can't pass up an opportunity to group together Kyle Busch, Erik Jones, Denny Hamlin, and Truex for a plus money.
Yeah, I don't hate that at all. And what was the one before that? I'm sorry, I missed that one.
Erik Jones, top 10 at plus 135.
Erik Jones, top 10, plus 135. Mm-hmm. I know I was also a recording secretary here, so I'm pretty excited about that. I think those are both the two solid picks there. And, I agree with you. Anytime you can get JGR at plus money, you have to take a long look at that with Joe Gibbs. So, especially plus 125. I will take that all day long, fellas. I got to be honest with you. And I've got one more matchup prop here, and that is I spoke about him just a little bit earlier. I got Matt DiBenedetto to take care of business against Ryan Newman. Newman just hasn't been himself since that wreck, and it's certainly understandable. But DiBenedetto has had a nice run. He had a nice run last week. He's got some solid skills, and I like DiBenedetto here, catching a little value. It's even money each way. It's minus 115 both sides. I'll take him over Ryan Newman at minus 115. Anybody else got anything at all? Anything else out there that grabs you?
Well, just a quick comment on that last prop. I definitely agree with your statement about Newman. We talked about this when we ended up recapping, when we ended up just talking about Kenseth and how we thought he was pretty much done yesterday, I believe. And it's kind of the same thing with Newman. Of course, for different reasons, but I think the name itself makes people believe he's as good of a racer as he used to be, when it definitely appears that he has lost a step or two, whether it's for the same reasons or different reasons. So the one thing I have noticed about a lot of the youngsters in NASCAR, they have a lot of potential. They just always seem to crash. And DiBenedetto seems kind of be the the same kind of story where he'll look really good for the first half of the race, and then randomly he'll blow a tire or he'll crash into a wall or something. So I definitely understand where you're coming from. You're not going to get any sass from me when it comes to fading Ryan Newman. So I think overall that's a pretty solid play.
Good, and I'm gonna give you one more here, and I just came up with this one. I like that short track specialist Christopher Bell. This is a kid that grew up on short tracks, cutting his teeth on those half-mile bull rings. I'm going to take him over Cole Custer at -125. I think that's about as close to free money as we're going to get in this one. I like that one quite a bit. Willie, what's your opinion on that?
Yeah, I like that. I think that Cole Custer is just one of those guys that he can't seem to. I don't know if he just wasn't ready for the jump of competition or if it's the car he's in, but
He's
I
not
don't think he's ever going to be a competitor, a very good competitor.
No, I don't know, and you have to wonder about his status with Stewart Haas Racing, because I know they think they see something in this kid, and again, he's just a rookie, so we'll see. He's got room to grow, but I don't think this is his year. Hasn't had a good run here lately, and I like that short track specialist over there in Christopher Bell. So that's I think that's going to wrap it up for me. And you guys good? Nothing else for the masses here on this race tomorrow night.
Well, I actually mentioned that Bell prop to you before we went on air, and I wasn't sure if I was going to pull the trigger on it. And realistically, I think I'm going to pull the trigger on it. So I'm going to take Bell as well against Custer at -125. You said it was -125, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so I'm going to take that. Main reasons why you just said. Both of them are rookies, though, so you have to wonder maybe if one of them is going to wreck or not. But even if they are, I think there's a better chance of Bell surviving every lap than Custer does. And Bell has been successful on shorter tracks over the course of his very, very young career. If you want to look at recent results as well, just on a consistent basis, Bell has been better than Custer. Custer, in his last 5 races, has finished 12th and then 18th plus in every other race. And at Bristol, he finished 35th. So he's already been on a short track. He hasn't done well on it. And Bell, on the other hand, has actually shown some flashes at times. I can't say the same about Custer. Custer has just been absolutely terrible. But if you look at Custer in comparison to Bell, I just think Bell's the better driver between the two. And it is worth mentioning there are only 6 spots in between each other, give or take. I know that Bell's starting 32nd, Custer's starting 27th. So they're going to be relatively close. So they should be able to, shorten the gap between them. At least Bell should. And if you actually look at Bell's recent results, he's actually finished top 11 in 3 of his last 5 races. So he actually has been flying under the radar a little bit, and he's been good here. So -125 on Bet Online. Yeah, I'll actually pull the trigger on that. I'll take that as well.
All right, very good. Willie, do we have you convinced? You're gonna make 3?
I'm not. I'm going to pass on that. I'm pretty spread around on this one already.
Okay. All right. Very good, guys. Well, that's I got to be honest with you. I missed the Wednesday action here the last couple of weeks when we didn't have a Wednesday night race. I know it's not going to be a permanent fixture of NASCAR, but I really enjoy having 2 Cup races a week. It's we talked a little bit about it yesterday before the show. It's kind of a throwback to the old days when they used to have 2, sometimes even 3 Cup events during the week. And by the way, that's how Richard Petty got to 200 victories. I know that's a
well. Just a further point to what you just said, it's such a throwback that it's a night race in Martinsville.
Well, I understand. I know the night race thing is a little different, but
I like it. It's about time, if you ask me.
I don't even know the setup. Willie, do you know? Did they bring in temporary lights? Did they actually install permanent lights there in Martinsville? Is this a one-off, or is this something that's going to be a regular thing?
I have no idea how they're going to do it.
Okay.
I hope it's going to be permanent.
Well, and that's when they built Kansas Speedway, and Kansas Speedway was new in 2001. It had no lights, so I didn't even know that they built racetracks without lights anymore. But yet there they did. So Martinsville is. I don't know. This is where I wish I knew more, just background, because it is. I believe I believe it's the oldest track on the circuit. I can't think of one offhand that would be older. It opened in 1947.
I think it's second behind Darlington.
Is Darlington older?
Or not, or what was?
I don't think Darlington's older.
Darlington or it's one of the oldest for sure.
Okay, all right, very good. And this is, by the way, the. I feel bad. These people paid a lot of money, so we'll make sure that we mention it. This is the Blue Emu Maximum Pain Relief 500, by the way. So.
Yeah, because naming your pain relief after random animals really a great idea.
And every time I hear emu, I can't get that stupid song from the commercial out of my head.
The emu, of course.
That's it.
Of course.
And Doug. So.
Yeah, and Doug. Doug's just chilling. Doug's just chilling out there.
All right, guys. Well, we're gonna have some fun here. We'll have a little race action for you, and I got to tell you, if you haven't been tailing their picks, not necessarily my picks, but if you haven't been tailing the picks of these guys, you're missing out on a money-making opportunity. And I know people are out there like, I don't really like NASCAR. I don't like, you know what? You like money? Put it down. You don't even have to watch the race. Think of it as a stock investment. Put a little sprinkle on Keselowski, because we all agree with that one. And it looks like the other popular pick there is Denny Hamlin at 10-1. You like 10-1? Even if you don't like the sport, I'll take 10-1. I don't care. So, yeah, there you go. Willie, thanks for joining us as always. We appreciate your insights. I would tell you to stay hot, but maybe you could cool off just a little bit for this one, huh?
We have the same picks, so I hope he stays hot. I'm just saying. I'm just acknowledging that we didn't coordinate anything, because Willie and I guess just saw the race exactly the same. So
I know. It's a miracle. It's a Festivus miracle. So, Willie, thanks for joining us, bud. Appreciate it.
Oh, my pleasure. My pleasure.
All right.
You want to give a preview about what we're doing tomorrow?
Yeah. Okay. Really?
Yeah.
I'm going to do it.
I know you will. I'm just saying.
I just had to give you shit one more time.
Yeah.
For all your back, you're getting a little cocky here, buddy. I'm not sure I care for it.
Oh, I can, I can't hear you from the bottom of the scoreboards.
Too busy stacking. I can't hear you. I'm too busy stacking my chips. That's all right, buddy. It's not over. This is a long season. It's
all in fun anyway. I'm joking. It's not like we actually have a prize for this thing anyway.
No, although if I get closer, we'll have to come up with a prize.
At some point, we can figure it out somewhere down the road.
As it stands right now, I assume everybody has Venmo. So yeah. I feel like we're about this close to getting some personal action going here. So that'll be fun. All right, so that's it for no, I'm kidding. We're going to talk about the show tomorrow. We're going to have Valdez Pons over there coming directly from where's he coming from, Scott? Do you remember where he was last week? Mallorca.
He was in Mallorca. He was in Spain.
Mallorca, Spain. He's going to be talking a little Bundesliga. And then what do we got? 2 weeks till Premier League?
Give or take, a week and a half, 2 weeks.
Okay, there you go. Willie, a Premier League fan?
Not really. I watch some soccer. I'll bet on it, but I'm not a huge fan.
I just figured if you were a soccer fan, Willie, we'd just have you on every day. So you would just so there's one sport. So Willie, he's the esports guy. He's the UFC guy. He's the NASCAR guy. But we got another guy for soccer. And we got a guy. Valdez is very good. Scott, how'd your Bundesliga picks wind up last week?
Made some money, but we can go more in depth on that tomorrow.
We certainly will. And always there's a Bundesliga, the teams that are the most fun for me to pronounce. So tune in for that for sure. And it'll be a lot of fun. We've got golf coming up on Thursday, and we talked about doing a little golf. I don't know if we're gonna have a golf guy. Scott, you want to talk a little golf on Thursday?
I've actually been looking at it briefly. Truth is, I'm still waiting for a couple more lines to come out. It seems like DraftKings has a lot of lines, so I've been kind of digging a little bit.
Okay.
The issue that you have is it's kind of just a lot of uncertainty because you haven't seen most of these golfers publicly in about, 5 months.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a crapshoot. You've seen a handful of people on television, whether it's Rory McIlroy or Dustin Johnson or so you've seen some people on TV, but everybody else has kind of been I know you said before that most golf courses have been open, so they can still practice.
Right.
There's a difference between them practicing on their own and then playing in front of people with a camera there. So you never know which golfer is going to struggle or show some signs of rust, which could be an issue.
True. So yeah, we'll maybe touch on that a little bit. I know we got a UFC event coming up Saturday night. Scott, I know that's your birthday, and you're not really excited about the card.
It's one of the worst cards I've ever seen, but I'm looking forward to breaking it down, I guess. It's not a great card at all. And if you're a UFC fan, you know what I'm talking about. But hopefully the fights itself will make up for the lack of name cachet on the card.
You know, I got to tell you, I feel like we do a pretty good job on this show. I think it's a pretty well-run show. I think there's some good opinions out there, but I think our promo sucks.
It happens.
No.
You can still make money on it, so, it is what it is.
That's right. This is going to be a terrible fight card, so make sure you tune in to find out what we think about it. Oh, wait, we just told you it's terrible. But, yeah, like you said, man, you don't even have to watch it. If there's money to be made, put your money down, make your investment, and let the chips fall where they may. So we'll be back to talk about that. Got a lot of fun stuff coming on. Baseball, man, they're right there. They're ready to go, huh?
I guess. It seems like they might be very, very close to accepting more than a 30-second phone call from each other. So they're really moving, taking some steps in the right direction over there.
The owners really want to play that season, man. They really want to play that season, but I don't know. It's just, I hate.
I think plus 200 was a steal for no season about a week ago.
Shame we can only make $50 on it. It's a heartbreaker, but
yeah.
All right, fellas. Well. As always, we've had a blast. I think this is going to be a fun little race there up in Martinsville tomorrow night. First time under the lights, should be fun. And we'll be back to talk about it and break down. And we'll be back to break down Saturday's race down there in Miami, another flat track race that bores me to tears. But again, there's money to be made, and then there's excitement coming after that. So we just got to get through these two flat track races. And I know Willie, you like the flat tracks. It's just not my thing. I like speed. I like those banks. I like passing. But, we'll see what happens. Should be a lot of fun, and we'll be back to break all that down. It's a jam-packed week, guys. Got to get real sports, live sports that are North American stuff. So we're going to be talking about those for sure. And make sure you join Scott and I each and every day here on Today in Sports Betting. And, of course, don't forget to check out winnersandwhiners.com and our sister site over there at statsalt.com. High-quality coverage of all the major sporting events going on in America, and give you the breakdown and how you should be playing them. All right. So until tomorrow, I am Scott Steen. He is Scott Reichel. He is Winning Willie down there at the Crossroads in Mississippi. For all of us here at winnersandwhiners.com, we appreciate you stopping by. Don't forget to drop us a comment. Let us know how you're playing them. Let us know how you're making out during the coronavirus. If you're making a little money on the side. And we'll be back to talk all things sports betting tomorrow. But until then, you guys take care. Have a great day. Stay safe, everybody. And we'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.